praise to him, and also like a lesson to all of us. If you want to make anything in the world, you got to go and do it. You got to be the person that activates it. And yeah, he's just so beautiful. I mean, look at this thing, man. So good. Coming back to the car.
Whoa.
So
watch out.
Yeah.
I'm not going serious here.
Yeah, we're going serious. We're going all in.
It's an instant failure. When you see it, you feel frustrated immediately. And I hate that when that happened too. You know,
that's the worst.
And,
it was such a blend of so many things, and looking at something, then reducing it into nodes. And my brain was like, oh, there were so many unlockings that was happening. And I knew I made you proud of this and made me really happy.
I'm proud of you, man. You kill it here. It needs to be recognized. It's a Lotus Esprit. So I'm going to keep something about the taillight. But you were, no. I don't care. This is what I want to do. I'm going to remove the entirely back.
Man. Since last episode, I was excited to do this, and I'm even more excited now. This is going to be amazing. This is a good one. I think if I recall back to doing this, I think we mentioned this in previous episodes, but we're doing this on the side of everything in our busy lives, family and taking care of life, as we all have. And on top of that, paid client jobs, which take up all of our time and energy. But we do this. We've been doing this on the side of everything else for 4 years now, 3 years.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Around that. Yeah.
Because we love it, and we're car nerds, and we love design and everything. So what's been really great is, what happens is one of us gets really busy, and the other one goes and is not busy, and the other one tries to play catch up, and it's really difficult. And this was the first time I think the tides were turned, if I recall. You got super busy, and I think you're working on a big project. I can let you talk about that if you want to. And then I had a little bit more time, and I also had a secret weapon on this one we'll get into later too, which is really cool.
Man, I was really looking forward to this episode. I told you many times, like, oh man, this episode, now with the high expectation, maybe this episode could be the worst.
Don't say that. We just started.
But it's true. You know, the expectation is not really a good thing. But man, I was really looking forward to this one, because it's true. I get so busy back then working in the Netflix show, and I don't even remember what happened in that stage, because you were sharing, hey, I'm doing that. I was like, oh, fuck, all right. But then, I have to do some calls and do some renders. But then all of a sudden, you came out with this, and so for me, this episode is gonna be the first time talking about that and what happened. How it was for you doing this, because for the others, I can get the sense, because we are always talking, always sharing, but this one was like nothing.
Yeah, I love that. That's actually good, because now we might touch on some new things here, which is going to be fun, and there's a lot of things to unravel with this car. I think, and my memory might be wrong, but I think this is when I was designing the Batmobile as well. And I think that there was a certain shift that happened to me mentally with that project, and just my perception of who I am, what I'm doing. And I think that a lot of that energy from that way of doing that car and that thing was kind of transferred into this Lotus Esprit, and what the heck happened from it all. So yeah, this is like a culmination. We're on build number 7. This is 7, right? Yeah, 7. Yeah. So excited. And we have some really cool news about this at the end we're going to talk about as well.
I love the fact as well, even though we get super busy, we were commit. We want to do this, and we have a deadline. We have to do it, because we were doing already for, a few months with few cars. Like, it could be cool, keep doing it. I mean, just finding the way to make it happen. We don't have to go crazy. We have to maybe work cleverly how to do this, and achieving certain goals, certain aesthetic and look, but still doing something special. And it was really cool, a totally different approach in this, because not all the time we are free to do whatever. We have, always compromise. It's not, you can do the masterpiece every single time. It's not going to be the best render every single time. So just the right enough to be proud and show into the world in a way.
It's a big lesson, I think, because we started at around the last two builds was the LM002 and the Vanguard. What's the name of the LM? I can't even remember. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Which one, sorry?
The Lamborghini truck. I forget the name that we named it.
LM. Yeah, the I got it.
Amazing. It doesn't really matter.
Zodiac. There you go.
Yeah, a Zodiac. Yeah, sheesh. Finally, yeah. It's because it came from the Matador and the Bull, and then the Zodiac was the. We forgot to talk about that too. But anyways, because the naming is really fun. We can talk about the naming of this one as well, because that's kind of a fun thing. But where's I going with that? I totally forgot.
Yeah, I'm talking about they always not when you have a really short amount of time. You don't have to go mental. You have to find the compromise and push in the right direction to accomplish. Basically,
yes, yeah. I think we started to realize there's a bit of a flow that happens from these projects, and that was one of the things. There are so many lessons every time, and looking back and doing this, I couldn't. I really urge people, if you're listening to this, that if you have work that you've done, to maybe even just have a conversation with a friend or somebody you love and do a call and like talk about the work that you've done that's maybe 2 or 3 years past your intention. There's this weird thing that's happening in my brain. I know it's happening to you, Carlos, as well, where our perspective is really shifting and we're looking at what had succeeded and what had failed and then what was in the middle. And that perspective on the work, I think, is making our current work better. I was like working on this the other day and I was like, this perspective of this dialogue that we're having is really adding to this really fun conversation of this evolution that's occurring naturally. Which
do
is
you
really
mean
fun. So,
the perception of your own work in terms of quality?
Yeah, and just my interaction with the art itself and my intention in general, like just being present with that thought, which is really key. Because I feel like having perspective on it really is helping me. So yeah, and I think that without us doing this, I think that I would have probably missed a lot of this dialogue that was sitting as like empty conversations that occurred when I was making this. But then looking back on it now with this kind of different perspective is helping me a lot. Just kind of go, oh, when I'm doing this in the future, I should, think about this or consider that, or try not to rush this, but make me feel this. And I don't know if it's a fear of failure and trying to avoid failure. Probably it is. I mean, every intention, whether I realize it consciously or subconsciously, is to avoid some sort of failure, different rangings of it. But looking at it with perspective, because art is we talk about this all the time, like art, I consider what we do is a form of art. It's a form of creation, and it's unquantifiable. You can't quantify this. Some people will look at this and say it isn't, or some people will say it is, but that doesn't really matter. It's to us what we feel it to be. And that's, there's a lot of lessons to learn through what that is. It's a very big thing, but anyways, I don't want to get too far down
I think
that.
It's
but
very interesting, man. Actually, I follow you. I feel you. Because I'm thinking about the definition of failure. I've been thinking about that for a while, what it means failure, right? Yeah. So all the best definition I can get so far is like, what is your memory? What is your experience working that project? Do you remember as a good thing or as a bad thing doing that experience? So to me, that could be the closest definition of failure. If I feel bad, think about that memory. Oh shit, that project was a killer. Maybe someone else outside, man, that's the best work you did so far. Yeah, what I remember is just suffering. For me, that is a failure. Because the other people, what is the other people's opinion? What it means failure to me is untouchable. I cannot relate to that. It's just too difficult. So for me, it's easier to determine what I feel is failure when I have a bad memory. That's it. I don't know.
That's a valid one, and I think that's also that's your place to say that this is what a failure is. And yeah, I totally agree. Because there's a real sad thing that plagues a lot of artists, I think, is that we think that art needs to be the failure or the starving artist or whatever, these sad, hard truths. But the thing is, not every artist and an art act needs to be a failure too, which is also really key. Because it's a matter of going through it and finding it. Yeah, but I don't look at the ESP as failure. There's moments that I feel like I definitely learn from them, and we'll get into it. That's for sure. But yeah, of course. I don't think it's also really super great to look back at work that's this old and be like, it's the best. There's a couple things I'm like, yeah, there's a huge problem with a lot of this stuff, but then some of it's good.
Let me tell you something. When you talk about the ESP, I can tell this is one of your favorite build.
Yeah. Yeah, feels it represents me in a lot of ways, like how wild and crazy my brain is.
Love it. Great.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a track record on some of these things where it's like, yeah, it's like this, and then the triad because like this is on the way to what the triad was. The triad was like it's like your AX1. It was a complete idea from nothing to that's the triad. There's no car like it before or after. That's what it is, and the ESP is on its way to it. Thankfully, I was sitting on the shoulders of a design god. He's one of my favorite designers of all, Giorgetto Giugiaro, which I'm sure I'm totally messing up, and I'm apologizing to all our beautiful, amazing Italian friends who speak that incredibly beautiful language. So I'll just call him Double G. That's his name for Double G. Or Gigi. Yeah. Gigi's incredible. Obviously he did the Countach, which is an absolute work of art, kind of an odd, undrivable car from what I hear, but yeah. And I've had a chance to see him, a masterpiece of design. And he was also, I think at the time too, he really believed in the Esprit so much so that he had a prototype built. This is when I think he was working with Pininfarina. I could be wrong though. He might have been on his own. I can't remember though. But he's the one that's cited and credited for this. The Esprit. There he is. There's Gigi right there. Look at that handsome man. And man, look at him drawing his wedge cars, dude. His designs have the most deep impact on me out of all of the designers, I think. And I think it's his voice. I really feel there's an artist, but there's a child making these things. You could feel this like childlike wonder of curiosity in his things. He's not thinking about, does this function good for getting groceries and stuff? I don't think he is. Eventually he did. I mean, he designed so many useful, incredible vehicles as well down the road. But at this point,
man,
I mean, this handsome guy.
What I got here in this photo, I will pay so much money again to be in that room and just be curious, just be quiet and see how this man is working. And then maybe he says something about something. I don't know. The way he works and the way he communicates with people, the thoughts he has about what he's doing, what is the intention. I would love to be there and see what's going on, or what you have in mind. Why are you doing that? Tell me about it.
Yeah. He's doing side profile, and if you've listened to these podcasts and understand our design style, we always do this. We always start with side profile, and he's he's making a signature right here, which is really cool. It's really beautiful. Yeah, there he is. He's doing curvy stuff. This is what happens with age. You start off with the hard arrow, and then you slowly edge it out. So, yeah. Look at this Ferrari book.
Wow, my friends.
Man, the man's got the sauce right here. Yeah. An artist is as good as their reference oftentimes, a lot of times. Also, hey, what's going on here? Nah. It's I think it's a Chile, a print of a Chile painting, I believe. Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah. Or it could be like a crazy seductive photo. Busted. GG.
Man, when I see this picture, busted. To me, the expression is like, could you just shut up? Let me do the work.
Yeah.
Get out the room, motherfucker.
Yeah, daddy's working, Yeah. I love the sweater over the dress shirt too. Such a style. So cool, man. I just look what he's got in the back here too. Like he's making the everyday car for people. Well, man, he just had, I feel like there's certain times in certain people's careers where they're there. They exist, and it's a perfect time for a person like him to be creative and to design and make something. I think this is it. It was his time to shine.
Really good reference, man. Amazing. I've never seen this blue toy. It's incredible. So good.
So what I understand is Colin Chapman, who's this gentleman right here, was basically like the man behind Lotus. He was the owner, the creator, the engineer, I believe. I could be wrong. I'm not a historian. These are just things that I found online. So I would look into it further. But anyways, when Giugiaro, I don't know how to say his name. I know I'm saying it wrong, and I apologize again. But I love him, so I'm going to call him Gigi. Anyways, when Gigi, when they were designing it, they did a full clay mock-up. And when Colin saw this, he was unimpressed. He didn't like it. This is when they did the BMW M1. And that BMW M1 was released. And then they also had this concept run along it. And Gigi was so like, no, this is the jam. This is the car. And he had to prove it to Colin by making a full-on this car right here, this prototype. And then once he saw it, he was like, okay. And that just goes to show you one of the world premiere, most incredible designers of his time still had to prove it all the way to building a full prototype like this. And that's just like a testament to this man's willpower. He believed in it. He believed in his idea and he pushed it forwards. Without his perseverance and pushing Colin, this car would have never happened. We wouldn't have this podcast. We wouldn't have this episode. So like massive praise to him, and also like a lesson to all of us. If you want to make anything in the world, you got to go and do it. You got to be the person that activates it. And yeah, he's just so beautiful. I mean, look at this thing, man, so good.
What do you think?
And to think that he was unimpressed with it, crazy.
What do you think is the fact, the important character he is to be able to accomplish that? Is that tenacity to do it, or the proudness, or stubborn, or the talent, ego? What is the actual factor to get that level?
All of those together, I think. Yeah, ego, tenacity. It's one thing to look at the world and say, I want to change it. I want to make it my own. A great designer does that. A great designer looks at the world and says, actually, I think that we could look at it like this. And a great designer, or like a great musician or great artist at any capacity, when they release the thing, it's oftentimes very controversial and it's hard to process. So at the time, I think that this car might have been, I don't know, but I think it might have been somewhat controversial because it was against convention. Everything was curvy and had a smooth, curvaceous sports car kind of thing. And this one emphasized that the future was an arrow as edge. It was wedge style, So I think that it was pushing a lot of boundaries and conventions and changed it. And I think that's why when we look at it now, like, look at this slope. It's just barely an angle shift in it, There's so many cool things about it, the design feel and stuff. But yeah, I think that so much love should be given to this man for what he's done here, because all these years later, he's reminding me personally as a designer to, if you want it, you have to want it, you have to make it. You have to want it more than anything, because in order to will something into reality, you have to give your essence to it and bring it to life.
But the way you describe the story, imagine Chapman going to that room and say, you know what? It's kind of meh, right? You as a designer, you will be crushed if you don't have a massive love for what you're doing and believe in what you're doing is right and is good. Man, I don't know. I would be crushed. Like, I've been spending, I don't know how long, 1 month, 2 months?
Probably half a year. Yeah, probably 6 months.
Yeah,
imagine.
Man, I don't think it's going to happen. You are like, it's all right. Trust me. Give me another 5 months. I'm going to show you this is going to work.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
It's like you have Otomo's Akira book behind you. Otomo's a perfect example of that. Otomo doubled down on himself just like George Lucas and made his empire. He kept putting his money into himself. He he was started out in magazines drawing comics and things inside there, and then he eventually built his own, like started expanding on that, and then he started to make Akira, and then Akira became this huge thing, and he took that manga money and then did the animation, and he put his money into it. Again, this is the key, I think, with this one, and this is the same thing with him, is that I don't know what he was working with. I can't remember if it was by himself. I mean, obviously he has a studio. He can't be doing all this by himself, the clay and all that stuff. I mean, it's rare that an artist can do both worlds, but I mean, look at these two guys. That's not Gigi.
It's a moment.
Yeah. The interior is just as cool too on this car. It's just, man, it's such a classic beast. It's so beautiful. Okay. Even this color, which I absolutely do not like, but it's so perfect for this. But like even the interior is just like, come on, dude.
Is that Alcantara? No, is that what's that?
I think it's the 70s and the 80s. Yeah, it's a wild material. It's like some sort of weird, like suede or something. Yeah, and it's really busy. I don't think it helps the interior, but the design, the overall design is like, the interior is just as cool as the exterior, and just as odd too. You have your e-brake. Like, how do you get in? You know, it's so interesting. And you're basically sitting on the ground.
Have a look on the
cool.
dashboard. It's really cool. It's kind of evolving, I think, and kind of a curvy.
Yeah. Wrapping around you. Yeah, and this is all old tech kind of stuff, you know. So it's like, it's totally Gigi sauce everywhere. It's so cool. It's just the best, man. I just love it so much. It made me really want to buy one. They're still kind of affordable, but they're not really super great cars because of the time. It was a big shift. It's almost like I want to get this and then put an LS engine in here. I know everybody gets mad.
Blasphemy.
That's okay. Yeah. It's or like take the shell and then build a new chassis over it and then
like you did
cool
already
from that. Yeah, that's a little too radical. I'm thinking something that I could drive around and not be creating so much chaos everywhere. But yeah, look at the pinch line, the belt line, the way that flow. There's so many beautiful things. You can isolate moments. This is how I also judge our own designs and then designs of others, is when you can isolate and you're still captivated. You know, it's like you can focus on one spot of it and you can still see elements. And this is when I have my argument towards people that think that what this is not art or whatever. It is absolutely, it's an expression when it's done like this. And I think that it is because it creates a fulfillment of joy. And when you see an object like this or an element or something, for me, it brings me back to like some really interesting core of it as a human. Like, wow, somebody really considered this or thought about this, or they knew that this is how this shape would bend light and then create intrigue. You know, like distilling it down. Like, why is this shaped this way? Look at this line, man.
Yeah, man. I'm with you, man. Dude. Because actually, I don't know that much about this car in terms of specs, right? What is the pinnacle of the history on car design is art. Yeah. Of auto design. It is incredible, and it makes sense for me because I can see that all the effort, all the intention is there. It's pure manifestation of art. That's it.
Yeah. It's like there's a lot of intention in this car, and if you think about it too, there was a Mangusta which had a similar kind of ratio to the design. There was quite a few cars at the time that had a similar ratio, and I feel like this one really nailed it. I think this is considered the S2. I think it's what it is. This is the 1978, so it's on the brink of the 80s, which is a cultural phenomenon for like the world globally. Like there's a lot of things that happen globally, but this is here it is. This is what I was talking about earlier. The M1.
The M1.
Yeah. Well, this is what actually happened too. There was the M1, and then this was the concept, the Esprit. I think that was then won over Colin.
Tricky call, man. Difficult to decide which one I will pick. Both are a masterpiece.
Yeah, I want both of them, honestly. But if you look at them, they're really quite similar, right? They're like they're very close in a lot of ways, which makes it really interesting. And I think that the fault of what I understand from the shame that happened with this car in its history is that it was just a little short of what it needed to be, and then we had other giants coming into the game and basically kind of silencing the splash that the Esprit made. But still to this day, I think it had a lot of interesting advancements and a lot of cool stuff. And most importantly, from a design standpoint, it's just a beautiful design. It's like a statement, you know. And there's all kinds of different iterations, kind of like the Pantera had the same kind of thing. Man, this interior is wild. Yeah. It's like some sort of weird like forest or something.
Yeah. Definitely I remember as a kid, barely remember some cartoons in the TV show. It has a mouse, and the mouse, it was like a superhero mouse. And the mouse has this kind of a wedgie supercar. Back then I was remembering, oh yeah, that's the same as, you know, back then I thought this is a Ferrari. So kind of a stupid idea.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, that the Super Mouse has a Ferrari. It was actually the Esprit, inspired by the Esprit. It's quite, yeah.
That's perfect then. Yeah. Yeah, it's I can see how that would lend itself, just like the DeLorean too. I mean, this is some of my favorite era of cars. I love the 60s, I love the 70s, the 80s has some great stuff too. Obviously, but I love this era because it's just such an intention, you know. You just look at it and go, wow, like somebody was really using their imagination, and they were allowed to do it, you know. You can even see this in the Supra of its era too. The Supra, the Celica, all those cars had, like, there was a cool wedge language, and then it changed obviously to more curvy, which is really interesting too. But the design is just so cool, and it's cool too when you look at it. Just like the Pantera is, as it aged, it started to add on new things and shift and change, but it was still the core. It was like almost like they were doing MHC, you know, modifications, but keeping the top and then changing pieces that could change off of it, you know. So yeah, so it was super cool.
Of course.
Also, the James Bond's car, the submarine car. I never was a real big James Bond fan, but I remember this moment. Super cool. I was like, wow. And what a cool execution of it too. Like, it just looks great.
In this point, I have to be honest. When I saw that, when I watched it, I was like, what the hell? What are you guys doing? That's not real. Cannot be that. So my question to you is, did this happen? It would actually function? No.
I don't think so. No.
So I was right.
I'd have to watch the movie again. I think it's movie magic. They had like a toy that was in the ground, in the water.
To be fair, I hate it. As a kid, like, no, that's bullshit. Where's the wheels? What's going on? That is not a car.
But the design's pretty cool though. Still, removing the wheels.
Could be also a flying car too.
Yeah, like if you took this car and you added some more like Sid Mead lines to it and put it in Blade Runner, I don't think you would think twice about it. I think you'd be like, that's fucking cool. It could definitely fit in that. And this is also something to consider, is that this is around the era of Blade Runner and around this time where science fiction is really running high, and these concepts, and it still is, but it's just a little different now. But imagine putting this, but then I think if you had like wheels or something, you know, some sort of like a modulo or something like that, which is interesting, like the hidden wheel kind of thing. But that's one of the things that made this car kind of special. Became a celebrity. That was one thing that was happening too with a lot of cars, is, you know, cars becoming celebrities. Like the DeLorean was the celebrity car, the Batmobile, Knight Rider, the Wraith car. This is later on, obviously, where cars weren't just a car, but they took on a persona that helped the character inside of media, which is interesting, and it kind of took on its own persona, which is also really cool. So this is very suspect. Going on? What is that thing right here? Okay. And then, just gathering some random references. So as we talk about when we do designs and build out cars of our own, the key is finding some key references to create what the intention is for the down the road. And for me, one of the key references was Was this Canepa? I think it was
Yeah,
that website.
Yeah.
I think this is, yeah. And they have these really wonderful photos of these incredible machines, which is, to me, they're really rare and hard to find, these kind of photos. And they do so much to my brain, because all I'm doing is going like, oh, wow, like, oh, what line is that? Is it, oh, that's the reservoir for the suspension, or, oh, this is like an air jack. Oh, that's cool. Or twin turbo.
Sound like stupid, but to me that is science fiction. What I see here. Yeah, well, I can tell what is the turbo, what is the actual suspension, but that's to me it's just nonsense. But it's really cool, man.
Yeah, I love it. As you know, I love cars and I love how they function, and I love seeing how they function, and exposing this was something that I was like, oh, I really would love to have a car that we do where you can kind of see it too. To me, this is when it kind of clicked for me. I'd see these incredible Porsche race cars and all these details, these big NACA ducts, and this like wild style design of speed of the time too. This is before I think CAD was really being used dominantly. There was no CFD kind of testing, so it was like huge wheels, huge turbo, just go full power, you know, and wild. And this is some of the most iconic racing. Racing has had many periods, but I think in this era it was just so fantastic.
It was in the 80s, right?
I believe so. This is a lot of 80s automotive.
Actually, the IMSA GTP category, I guess, one of those crazy.
Yeah, this is GTP. Yeah. GTP is like, wow. It's like,
so actually, that was your main reference as idea about this racetrack car.
Yeah. Wanted to see. I wanted something wild, so I thought to myself, and you know what we do a lot is we'll come back to this reference. Look at this reference. This is like spot on with what we're going to talk about later. And this is Benedict's. No, this isn't Benedict's work, but this is the wedge car, the wedge style of it. I thought to myself, what if Lotus had entered it into these races, and there's been many race car like Lotus interpretations, which is awesome too. Because Lotus's whole thing was, we might not have all the horsepower, but we'll have a very light, agile car that can handle, and that proved to be really well. And they got disqualified eventually because they were killing it so hard. So, which is kind of ironic, but that's how it goes. But yeah, I was thinking, what if the Lotus, eventually that same chassis that Gigi had designed, got crazy and it turned into like this kind of league, but they kept the wedge. So that was the whole idea. Like, yeah, it'll go to this racing level, but it'll have all of the classic roots of the wedge look, rather than being super curvy.
You are making me so envy right now, thinking, oh, I would love to do my own take on this kind of concept, you know? Damn it.
Dude, we should do it. Yeah. Well, we did it with the Triad and the X1, but we should go even further with another one too, which would be really fun. You know how it works too with me is like, I'll go really spazzy on one car and and then, okay, I'll shift it to something else. But yeah, the ESP, I just stuck with it, and I was like, this is what it needs to be. So huge wheels, big engine, lots of crazy aero, lots of crazy personality, something that when you see, you're just, you know, it's made to do one thing, to absolutely destroy it on a track and go super fast.
Yeah, destroy my car too.
And that was like, yes. Yes. Yeah, go super crazy with it. I just love all this race logic too. It's like
juicy.
So cool. And these cars are they're covered with it. And just like, man, come on, dude. Look at this thing. This once was a Porsche. Look how low it is. The whole chassis has been cut and just be turned into this whole other mean beast. So, and the ratios all changed and everything. So I knew that. And you know, the thing is, when you do this stuff and you get inspired, you get excited about what other people have done, because I'm just a culmination of all the things that I'm inspired by, you know, like, and the more I can be inspired and the different the pool of inspiration can come, the better the final product is. You know, we talk about that with references, and never just pull from one source, because then you're going to set yourself up for doom, because you're going to only just do that thing. But if you change it and add different things, like, oh, I'm inspired by a Dieter Rams design of how he designed this radio thing or something. Then you go over like, I like the Tesla thing, and then you add all these different weird pulls of things, and then your creation kind of summarizes to that. So
let me give you some praise
stuff in there too,
because something like I love the way you do, the way you think. It's about actually this process. You do so good, creating your own narrative, and then you create your own feed of inspiration and circle, and grows and grows and grows until you see it. All right, because how the narrative based on few ideas, and then you create something tangible in your head based on all these reference, which is for you could be natural. Yeah, that's the way it works. Yeah, it makes sense. You're creating your own ideas, but for me, it's incredible the way you work, and you are so good at it. Where I'm learning about that creative process of creating first the narrative. When I see, for example, back then I would be more distracted about details. Oh, what is that function? That nakatat? What happened with that? Oh, what a beautiful tires and texture. I'm not creating any narrative. I'm creating just collection of picture. I can recreate that in CG. Yeah, I'm putting all together as a kit bashing, but that's a nonsense car. But you are creating something more based on your own reality, and has some rules, has some constraint, and build upon something super unique. And that's why it works so good, because and you're doing every single time, and I love that, man.
Thank you so much. I try and I really enjoy the process, and I appreciate that. I think that's something I take for granted. I don't really think about it a lot, because to me, it's all about the narrative. It's all about the quest of the design, the intention of the design, because that's what makes everything so much more fun. Oh no, it's not a movie prop. No, it doesn't belong in this. It's like, no, it's actually a race car. So I always like to start off with a theme or a concept or an idea. You know how I am. And if I don't have that, it's really bad, because then I just kind of go somewhere else. I have to know why I'm doing it. And I need to know the theme. And if I don't have that, there's no point in doing that. I guess that maybe comes from just years of doing that like that, I guess. I don't know. And I don't do it any other way. It's all about the narrative, and finding a place to allow the narrative to kind of sit and work with, because that's what makes it fun too. It's at least for me, it's like storytelling and finding a new way to tell an old story. So the idea of taking this old beautiful masterpiece design from Gigi and then bringing it forwards many years and then throwing it into racing categories that might not make sense, but it's the same thing with the Porsche here. This car wasn't designed to do this kind of stuff, but they didn't stop. They said, no, we're going to keep the roof, and we're going to build a car around it. And I love that mentality. I love that idea. And a lot of times in this era too, and most race cars, even today, they do it, is they would take the car and rip it apart and then rebuild it for the purpose of speed or the intention of track lightness or whatever it might be. And I just love this language. This is also, I need to come back to these references for a certain project, so yeah, we're working on one right now. It's really cool. It's a really fun one. So, but yeah, that was like, it's all about the narrative there. And so I have a lot of references here, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the differences and the key elements here. Coming back to the car.
Whoa.
So
watch out.
Yeah.
I'm not going serious here.
Yeah, we're going serious. We're going all in. I grabbed one of the original models that I think got off of Squire, or I can't remember. Something.
It looked like Squire.
Squire. Looks like Squire, yeah. We get a lot of our bases. A lot of people ask, where do you get your models? We usually get them from Squire or Hum 3D or
Turbo Squid.
Somewhere on Turbo Squid. CG Trader is a great site that I like to use as well. There's a lot of independent modelers that make incredible stuff too. And unless we're building and designing a car completely from the ground up, we always start with something, because it's really difficult not to. So yeah, look at the difference is so crazy. Yeah, so here we have so this is basically the price. You could see the ESP just hiding inside there, just like the Porsche, like you can see it's kind of still in there. And here's like a quick example of like how different it all became. So what's yellow is the ESP in regards to this, the width and stuff. I noticed that too a lot about those race cars at the time, and a lot of race cars modern day. You think they're curving or moving or shifting in depth, but they're oftentimes just like a one big rectangle, which is interesting too. Lowered it a little bit, not too bad. Made it a little wider.
Just a little bit.
Can you imagine? Well, these tires are just like comically large. They're just insane. And sometimes, you know, it's funny. People be like, oh, you know, like that doesn't look right. And then I'm like, well, that's reality. Okay, that doesn't look right. Well, that's what this is. Or, the comment I always get with these things is like, oh man, what about speed bumps? I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
These are race cars.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the point of it too. It's designed to be something that goes fast. This is probably a little lower than it should be, but hey, you know, just having fun here. But yeah, here's this. I wanted to show this because it made me laugh. The difference between it.
So you actually
cars.
the distance between axes of the wheels is a longer, right?
Yeah. I wanted to completely extend it. The idea was that they would put the original motor that they had in here, I think was not very great. And so I thought to myself, well, I wonder what they would use. And I thought maybe they would use like the F1, the McLaren F1 BMW engine or something like that, that would take some more room, and then they could extend it back. Yeah. And create a less twitchy, because when you have wheels that are closer at high speeds, the handling becomes very twitchy because it's off center or it's too close. But if you extend it out, it becomes a little bit more pliable in high speeds too. And high speed cars are usually a little bit longer in regards to what I understand as a YouTube engineer. So yeah, but yeah, it's quite a bit, almost like a half a wheel's length shifted back, and then also forwards too. So the whole car moved itself, basically got stretched out and then went wider in all the right ways for me. I thought, okay.
Yeah, the car in general grows.
Yeah, in all the right proportions.
Man, I love your idea of exposing the rear. It was like I can bet. I bet it was your first instinct, aside of wheels and wheelbase and all that. You knew it's gonna be open rear with exposing engine, right?
Yes, I had to, because it's the best. Yeah. I think this is also the reason why I bring up the Batman, is because if this was around that time, I realized the power of showing what the beast is internally, if you can, you know, like the engineering inside the machine. It's not just the machine and covering it up, but it's exposing that as well. That's what I love about race cars too, is that you can see the engineers, you can see their work. It's almost like their sketch. And I understand enough about the engineering to go like, oh wow, that's interesting that they did the suspension like this, or this is where they solved this problem, because engineering is just solving problems, you know, not like problems, bad problems, but it's just solving things as you go, and design is finding solutions to problems as well. And this is all conceptual.
That's cool, man. There's something also I love about this boldness and a risk in a way, you know. You were afraid of even hide the actual sprint. You were more like this has to be a fucking machine, has to be super fast to be able to do that, and had to do this and this and that. So for example, I'm thinking, for example, on the rear, you didn't care about even keeping any of the taillights, because one of those, for me, for one of those classic issue, I'm thinking about, well, it needs to be recognized. It's a Lotus Esprit, so I'm gonna keep something about the taillight. But you were no. I don't care. This is what I want to do. I'm gonna remove the entirely back. No taillight. Actually, the front is gonna be completely different, and that's it. This is gonna be the actual ESP, right?
Yeah, that's almost exactly it. I had no respect for it.
I love that, man.
It's just, I think that again, I feel like cars like this gave me that, it made me feel I had the right
courage
to do that.
You to do something boldness, like I'm gonna go crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And why not? Because it's fun, because I can, because it's in the computer, you know? So this is like, if I recall, it's been many years, so I forget how this all worked, but I just took like the model and grabbed a bunch of kit bash parts of things that I had in my hard drive, just to see how everything kind of worked, because I'm not trying to model everything, you know? And then I kind of laid them together. These are varying degrees of it. This is my blockout. What I do oftentimes is I'll quickly lay out in very janky ways. I'll quickly lay out where everything kind of needs to play and get the general sense, because I don't remember if I ever really drew the side profile of this. I think I went full on in the modeling, even though it's really rough, obviously, but it was like, how am I going to get this to work? But I realized really quickly when I did this that it all started to make sense. Oh yeah, this could be like this, and this can go like this. And actually the final design didn't deviate from this at all. It's pretty much the same.
I'm thinking it's something
thing.
like you were more like an engineering approach. You have a goal to achieve certain spec, right? This is going to be the engine, this is going to be the wheels to go fast. And then the design is already in your head in terms of this is the sprint and has to be wedgy. So now you are working in 3D, more like a clay model already, instead doing side profile, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's pretty. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, I think it's. I think one of the what I was trying to do is I was trying to take that I forget the name of it. The Mazda, the supercar, the super
Group C car.
Group C Mazda car, and I tried to take that and smash it in there. And I thought, oh, this is so cool. But then I looked at it and go, no, it's too curvy. But that was another idea, is like taking the Group C. So if Lotus was participating competitively in Group C, this is what the car would look like. It would just look like this savage wedge and machine.
Man.
You know? And I knew I had it right when I started doing this. I was like, this is it.
For real,
solved
man.
it. You know,
You're
it's so
making
fun.
me do up another Group C car.
Yes, we have to, dude. Please, let's do another Group C. Who cares? Because we love it. We get so excited about it. After this podcast, let's talk about it.
Oh boy,
we're so stupid. Yeah. But this is I think if so, one of my biggest problems is I don't model. I don't know how to model. I have a real weird. I don't know what it is. I don't want to make excuses or whatever. I have dyslexia. I don't know what it is, but there's this weird thing that happens to me where I completely hate it. And there's this weird thing that I can't get around. It's like an origami puzzle, a dimensional origami puzzle, to get everything to flow right. And some people are so good at it. And I'm going to talk about him because he's incredible. He is my partner on this with helping me model. So his name is Mikau. And Mikau, let's see, all this final modeling was months. We would go back and forth for months, off and on, to try and get everything. This is actually, I'm going to come back to Mikau, but this is, I was trying a bunch of different things. You see this? Like, oh, okay, this kind of works. It's like there's a bunch of different stages of it here.
Show me, because I miss all this,
You were busy working, dude. Daddy was busy. Yeah. You see how I kept it straight? I was like, I think this could work. Man, what a mistake that would have been. It's kind of cool.
It's not too bad, actually. You keep in the door line, so yeah.
Yes, that's true. And sometimes when I look at it now, I go, maybe I added way too much, like, sci-fi chunky lines and weird things go here, and that's probably one of the mistakes I think I made eventually when I looked at it. But when I laid it all out, eventually I was like, there it is. And man, when I did it, I was just so excited. I was so happy. There's that feeling you get when you know what you're doing is what you should be doing. And this was the moment I was like, yes, dude. Yeah. And I was so happy.
You feel excited and this kind of, what's it called? You feel something in your stomach, like a flies.
You feel in your gut.
Like, oh shit, I got something big.
Yes. All of the things that come together was like, this is car 7. So I think if you remember, the Zodiac, and I was like, no more, I'm not going to do that again. I don't want to feel that feeling of like, I could have gone further. I should have done more. So I think I was overcompensating a lot with this one. And I said, I want to go all full power on this one. I want some redemption, because I think I went full power on the Zodiac, but I went on the suspension, and then I had no more energy for everything else. So well, I'll come back to the Zodiac at some point with some redemption time. But yeah, when I look back at this, I'm really stoked and really happy. Even just my shoddy modeling. The reason why I brought this up and wanted to show this is if you're like me and modeling the struggle, then you need to find a partner to help you get there. But you can also model like this, where you have the rough form and get the basic sense. Because I always do this. If I'm not modeling like this, I always make splines or some sort of dimension to show our partners that help model stuff with us.
We do this actually.
Because
it's part of
essential.
our workflow. So sometimes rely on high professional modelers, and we do the blocky. We do some sketch if we need it for something more precise, but pretty much there's no shame on it. Being a little bit challenged by polymodel, because it's really challenging. I've been trying to model for all my career. I'm still struggle with it. It's just so difficult. You got it or you don't, or you suffer. I'm suffering. So yeah, that's my world.
Well, and it is also builds a really kind of fun translation too, because you have to solve that next stage. But the thing I love about this is I was able to get there with just enough information and energy to continue it, to be like, yeah, see, like even like little intentions, like, okay, the fender doesn't go straight down. I mean, I remember sitting there and pushing and pulling for hours. How does this look? Or this doesn't look right. Or I need to make this line maybe a little bit higher. And I would just look at it. I would constantly I'd have perspective and then front, top, side, and just constantly be moving it and tweaking it, because I knew that once I passed this over to Mikhail, I wanted him not to be confused by anything, and I wanted my intention to go through,
And I have a massive respect for that. One of the things I admire on you is about that visionary security. You are hand over this design to someone else to do the actual polymodel. So for me, it's a high pressure, because it's not just you or time; it's the other people's time. So if you're not having that clear, the other people's time is gonna be wasted, or they're gonna lose the power because your vision is not strong enough. You are moving vertex and up and down, and that cost of modeling is huge. So
huge.
So sometimes happens to me when sometimes I rather do it myself. One, because I feel insecure about my vision. It's not clear yet, so I had to do some rough polymodel and then going further, because I don't know yet what's going to happen. So I'm lacking of that vision. But you are more like, or deterministic or secure, or your vision is there, and all right, you're spending the time to make sure this vertex is here for a reason. And I love that, man. It's tricky.
I think it's because I don't have that discipline of modeling at that level, so I don't even see that as an option. So I have to execute it this way, and I have to put all my energy, like you said it perfectly. When I pass it off a direction of something, I have to have every intention to make sure that there's no time wasted between translation, because it's really exhausting in the process if I were to just pass it off and be like, I think it's done. Or because I remember, I think I went back and forth. We went back and forth so many times. I mean, this is the final process was months of work. There were so many back and forths. We would take like, it needs to have more detail. It needs to feel like this. It needs to have like NACA ducts and all these kind of things, or these are references and things too. So he did an absolutely incredible job, and bless his heart for being patient with me in the process, because it was just like, there was just so many things, all the references and stuff. These are screenshots from him. I use this example, this Lotus race car, which I thought was incredible, and I wanted to take that idea and go even further. So we used it as a reference oftentimes when we were coming to this. And I mean, polygonal modeling and doing this level, it's like so much skill, so much skill. Yeah. And I was like, we need to have this here, and we need to have that there. And so, and he's using Max right here, as you can tell. So the Supreme modeling program. Yeah.
Well, Blender
look at the cage and everything too.
He's there already. So fast.
Yeah, Blender is incredible. Yeah, it's another really powerful tool, which is great too. So yeah, and all these details, there's just so many of them. I believe in order to get the seam to connect perfectly is I believe that he had remodeled the whole roof line, the door, everything, basically the whole car, aside from the windows, was
I
redone.
bet it is. Yeah,
exterior.
I will do it. You know,
Yeah.
because it's so
Yeah,
so
you kinda
little
have
you
to.
have there. It's just the A pillar, the roof. All right, let's start from scratch.
Yeah, there's just so much to it. It's just a ton of work, and I can't give more praise to him for the amazing work that he did in translating the
Yeah, man.
design
There you go. See that?
to where
Yeah.
it became. Yeah, you can see us talking about it here in this translation, and then him finding the loop cuts and making everything clean, and then what would happen is we'd have many iterations. You would pass the file back to me at a certain stage and ask me, what do you think of this and that? And then I would take it and then light it or render it or check it out or look at it and then go, I think we need to go here with this. We need to chamfer this. And it's going to be smoother here. We need to add a lip here, all these kind of things. And yeah, he was just an incredible partner at bringing this to life. So big thanks to him, because without him, I need two people in order to beat Carlos, you know? So yeah. This, my super weapon was him. So yeah. Yeah, it's just, yeah. I mean, even look at the curvature in here. Like, you see how this all bends and everything.
That's
It's just
tricky,
like,
That's
there's
tricky.
a lot. There's super tricky. I mean, polygonal modeling, I mean, this is 3 years old. So since then I've gotten a bit better, but I'm still nowhere near where I want to be. But at the same time, I'm really thankful to have had a partner that, with him, that we were able to really bring this to life and really push it to the level that it is. And what I realized too from this is that we've been able to do more partnerships with incredible modelers, and it's been, to me, it's been one of the most fulfilling aspects, because I think I've said it multiple times, is if I consider myself like I like to just sit at the drawing table like Gigi does. I like to draw, and then I like to hand that off to the clay modeler, because I want to let their hands do it, and I want to make that art with them. There's this beautiful thing that happens between that. Oh, you made that choice. Sometimes I'm like, damn it, why do you make that choice? And sometimes I'm like, damn, that's a better choice, you know? But yeah, it was quite a journey. We'll talk about the Apple livery as well. I'm really excited about that. That was a fun
Man,
one.
I mean, think about that process. It's super interesting, man. And I'm so glad that you are keeping that in that way. I know it's been quite challenging for you, learning, polymodel and plasticity too, but in the end, sometimes not necessarily you have to do everything. We talk about this quite often, and not necessarily has to be better because you're doing everything. I think it makes sense relying to high professional to help you out to your own vision. It makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is with MHC is this is a passion project too. There's no money attached to this, and so like oftentimes it could be like, oh, you're spending all this time and effort on this thing, and what's the reason? And the main reason, as I understand it, is it's really great exercise. It's a great way to learn, and it's also like a great way to advance your portfolio and showing what you can do. And I think that's really makes it a lot of fun, at least for me. Yeah, it's just full passion, full power, and it's so fun. But it's something that I've had to really reconcile with, because for a long time I'm like, I'm not a real CGI artist, or I'm not an adequate designer. I'm not a real this and that. And then I realized, hold on, my heroes didn't do all this stuff. So why am I putting that pressure on me? I should of course not just be lazy and not try, but I should be aware of what makes me happy and what doesn't. And if I'm not willing to have that conversation, then I'm going to constantly fail against that. And that's a real problem. So what I've done, thankfully to you and your guidance too, and just through the years, I realized I should just follow the passion that makes me happiest and fulfill that as best I can, and be kind to myself a little bit more and not push myself too far to the edge, because then I get really quite depressed. I'm like, damn, I could be so much better, and I want to, and I'm going to, but at the same time,
what is the cost in that? Yeah,
it takes time. Yeah, because I could burn out and be like, I hate all of it, and be like, I don't want to ever fucking do any of it. And then it's like, well, that's not good. Yeah. Yeah, quite an extreme reaction, of course, but yeah, quite an extreme person. But
that label, extreme person.
yeah,
No, man,
it's a
for
little
real. I
pretty
mean,
much accurate.
from my side, is massive respect for you, man. You are clear. Also, what I love, you are willing to try and keep evolving and learning, even though it could be a really painful process, and it is. Learning new tools, new techniques is failure trust failure, and you are aware about your failing because nothing works and doesn't look the way it looks when you have in your mind. So it's an instant failure where you see it and you feel frustrated immediately, and I hate that when that happens too. You know,
That's the
and
worst. It's the worst.
so I think it's smart, man. It's smart because what is the point to suffering that process where you have already an idea and you can rely in collaboration? So it's we had this conversation. What's the point being the master of everything, where you can create a credible collaboration and go further with that collaboration? The same with directing, or it could be even in a small team.
Yeah. Well, the effort is a culmination of everybody's intention, so, and you need a direction. But yeah, it's a real fine line. It's really tricky. Yeah. But it's something I've been dealing with. I don't know if people are listening to this that have the same kind of, master of none or master of all, jack of all trades, all this kind of stuff, what path to choose. I think the path that I'm trying to decide to choose is the one that feels the most natural to joy. And that's a real tough one, because when I compare myself to you, my creative partner in this, I realize I have a lot of deficits because I'm like, damn, I don't think like that. I don't operate like that. But then to realize and hear that you have similar insecurities on your own side, it's like, well, maybe I should be a little kinder to myself and allow myself to just follow the bliss. And maybe this is what I am. Maybe I'm this thing. And to compare myself to you is actually to create more noise when I shouldn't. I should praise you and admire you for who you are, but at the same time allow myself to be praised individually, not in an ego way, but to be like kinder to myself. Like, it's okay, like you can do this, but you're going to do it a little differently. So it's a tough one as an artist. It's very isolating, but thankfully we have these conversations, and it really kind of helps me navigate it a little better.
Likewise,
so,
man.
yeah.
Likewise. I think every single person has his own demons, and I have my own. So, but again, for me, what is really cool is to see you going through all these challenges and pain, and you figure it out in your own ways. I've been doing, for example, texturing or modeling, lighting, composition, VFX, motion graphic design, illustration, all that, and depending on the task, I will be more linked to feel more natural doing specific things. And one of them is lighting rendering. I love that. But I can feel as well comfortable with polymodel texturing lighting. So I ended up spending or wasting my time for 15 years doing over and over that. And not even sometimes not willing to step out of my comfort zone because I feel insecure. So why spending my time being maybe having that idea and collaborate with others and step out of my comfort zone. So that is kind of something like I've been learning from you as well. Something like I really admire your tenacity of pushing forward and figuring out a way to make it work. It's incredible, man.
Thanks, man. Love you, bud. Appreciate it. I'm stoked to do this journey with you. It's really awesome because, again, I think it's not on the surface. Yeah, it's the CGI cars, blah blah blah. But it's more than that. It's our friendship. It's our journey. It's our path. It's our legacy. It's what we're doing. And this ESP was a turning point for me personally. Working with another collaborator on the modeling. And so just to be clear too, it's like the body is one aspect of it, but that's once we got to there, I was like, okay, I can take it from here. And it's like everything else, there's connecting everything. It's the interior, making sure the interior works, making sure everything makes sense, engineering wise, kit bashing and bringing all these things together, making sure that all this stuff happens. So there was ton of work and hours that I poured into it past the exterior body shape modeling, which was a lot of work too and a lot of fun. But it was definitely to get to here was a huge shift. And I think it was like probably a solid month of just kept bashing, grabbing parts and like, oh, that exhaust doesn't look good, or getting it from another model and then going, I don't like that. And then taking it as the base and then modeling it, even with my crude modeling skills, or trying different things. It was a whole process to get it all to work. But yeah, and then eventually getting into these are just random screenshots from the design process and the rendering process, and bringing in different assets and the interior and the wheels and different shaders. And this is really when I there's a couple of renders we'll talk about specifically, but this is really when I also was like, I want to be serious about understanding how Carlos approaches his shaders, because I would see what you're doing and I was like, man, what the heck? This is so crazy. And then I eventually realized I have to do it myself. Okay. You know, this, we could just talk about, I guess, here is, I had that reference. And again, references are your best friend when it comes to this stuff, because your mind lies to you and it plays tricks on you and it tells you something that is not true. And your ego says, yeah, don't worry about it. And that's another thing I learned from you, is that you follow references very closely and you use them as a tool, and you don't tell yourself that you know that you don't know, and that you use it as a reference and you really push hard. And I wanted to create like certain shaders. So building out these shaders for just the metallic sections basically. So I really wanted to find a way to create this bronze, like metallic kind of thing that had strong AO that felt like a dirty wheel. And I was like, boom. And this came from your teaching me how the node structures work, and then going further beyond that. And then probably the most important shader that kind of changed the way I approach all of these things was building this really dirty chrome. It's interesting. You'd think like, oh, this is easy to do. It was such a blend of so many things, and looking at something, then reducing it into nodes. And my brain was like, oh, there were so many unlockings that was happening. And I knew I made you proud of this and made me really happy.
I'm proud of you, man. You kill it here. I remember perfectly that time you showed me all these IPR videos and screenshots. And I was like, fuck yeah, man. There you go. That's my man doing it himself. And because that's the context. We have one call and show you more or less what the actual mindset I have, the workflow I have for shaders. And you were okay, cool, yeah, and making question. I was like answering the question the way we're going doing that. Okay, cool. It was 30-minute call. And I thought, well, it's fine. Maybe another time we can do another call to go deeper and just explain it again, or keep practicing what we already told you. But you in a couple of days came out with this. Like, all right, what do you think? All right, man. You got it? Fuck, all right, that was quick.
You're an amazing teacher, dude. Yeah, you're an incredible teacher, and you're so patient, and you show, and you're transparent.
You are sharp.
Yeah. I'm just thankful to be your student. And this to me gave me like, I think there was like, I recall Grant Warwick, I believe is his name. He was doing those incredible shaders.
Oh yeah,
Grant's his name, right? Warwick, I think his name is. He's like, he was doing those crazy CGI renders and shaders,
V-Ray,
and and V-Ray. And I remember
V-Ray something.
Mastering CGI. I think it was called.
Tutorial, incredible. I learned so much with those tutorials. Also, big shout out to Adam Martin, which is a Spanish guy. He's another big name of education CGI artist, and dedication for Corona. All these VFX, V-Ray, and it's incredible. Everything is free. You can just learn so much about this kind of shader.
Alan, is his name?
Adam Martin. It's incredible. Adam Martin.
Yeah. Big thanks to these legends, man, because they sharing their knowledge, sharing their information, sharing how they do what they do, because a lot of times you look at it and it doesn't make sense. Or I remember I was like working in another render engine, and I was like, I can't get this thing that I know there's something shifting, and I didn't want to use V-Ray because it was attached only, like it wasn't working good for Mac users, obviously, and then for Cinema 4D, and I wasn't willing to shift over to a whole new program because my weird learning disability or whatever I want to call it, whatever thing I'm using as an excuse. But when Corona came in my life because of you, and I think you and Kaisa were showing me, and I was like, okay, I really want to try this. And then digging deeper into it, I think that I remember Grant doing some, like, I think he did like this procedural shader that he had built on a roll cage that showed the heat burning off the metal. And I was like, oh my God, how is he doing this? And it was like witchcraft. And I'm not saying that I got there, but I felt this was the first time ever that I had built a shader where I was like, okay, yeah, this is working. Okay. And of course the tire and everything that you'd built, and it was fun. We had textured this fun thing together and built all kinds of little details. We can talk about that too, but it all kind of came together, and all the supporting things happen. And to this day, even now when I look at this render, we'll have it down there below, but I'm like, I was looking at it last night, I was like, oh yeah, this still looks as good as I would hope to get it now, which is nice, but maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know. So yeah. I just love the softness of the fall off and the focus, and like, this is such a beautiful, like, Corona does this such a beautiful
also nice
job.
Pokemon.
Yeah, I think I was using a custom profile for this as well, which is really expensive to render, but yeah, you can see like, hey, lots of that was happening too. Yeah, but
show me what you got on the right. You have the floor reflecting. What was that?
So you had built this incredible ground, and what I was doing is I was trying to test the decals that came from Megascan. I was trying to translate them into Corona. It was really difficult
because that was before decals in Corona. That was basically you are UV mapping and placing geometry opacity. What? Oh,
yeah, it was really difficult. It was very painful. Yeah. But also trying to build the shader so that the spec made sense, and like building decals that would cut into the geometry, and then put other ones.
I feel like you in that moment felt like a Neo, or I can see now. I know Kung Fu, right?
Yeah. I was trying my best. Yeah. Because I wanted, so you had built this incredible ground shader, and then I was like, okay, how can I advance this by adding more stuff? Because I was looking at references, and I was like, well, we have these amazing assets that we could use from Megascans, because they're scans of 3D objects or real objects. And then so adding those in there, and testing it, trying different lighting scenarios. And I think I failed and tried for a long time. And I did a series of renders in here that were like in the dark and in the ground in the garage. And then I've never shown them because they're a failure, but they might be in here actually at some point. But yeah, it was fun. This feels like months of us playing around and finding things, but yeah, it was quite a journey, this whole process. Yeah,
man, I wonder you were working in this ESP at the same time you were also working with a Batman car, so too much cars. So. You were in that position. I mean, you used to be a little bit swapping different things, but here it was full on automotive.
Yeah, it was. I think the Batmobile, having that project and being a part of that incredible project and with that amazing team, I think it unlocked something in me. A lot of courage, I think, to just go and lead into it and have the courage to believe in my taste, and then see it forwards with I guess with tenacity. It's trying to summon Giugiaro's incredible tenacity with the Lotus originally. Maybe that spirit transferred over potentially.
Yeah, man, that's a funny thing. Yeah. We talk about these the willing to keep pushing and not being putting down for others. And it's quite interesting to see you, even though you have so many success in your career, you were still kind of finding your way and fighting back with with your ideas, with, for example, this Batman car. And that give you more confidence to keep pushing and exploring your own ideas, like in this one, the ESP, which is super interesting for me, because I will be from outside. Yeah, well, you did the Batman car, and now I'm doing the ESP. Yeah, it makes sense. But you are in totally different mindset here, right? You are still discovering yourself and proving yourself you can do this, right? Which is not easy to take. It's not easy, man, and it's a massive effort. I'm massive willing to put you out there and the risk and believe in yourself and fighting back your own demons and coming back to the computers every single day. And is that makes sense what I'm doing? and it's really inspiring, man. I mean, again, because from outside it will feel like it's an easy task. You're putting actually destroying a Lotus Esprit and putting some wheels on it and spending 1 month in your spare time doing this for free. But coming back to the conversation of GG, and believe in yourself and keep pushing to something like you believe is right. You were doing it. There you go. You got this car. Oh man, this is great.
Yeah, feeling possessed. Yeah, it's it's sure there's these successes that happen in life, but I think me enough now. It's like that doesn't really matter much. You have to be a student continually. Life is never it's not really a destination unless you feel it is, but I think it's a journey that you need to get to that point. And I hope I never arrive there, because I think that's the moment you stop learning is the moment you start dying. And I love moving forwards. And I mean, those are external things. Like I feel like the Batmobile was like a perfect place, perfect time kind of scenario for my life. And it feels like I was like, I've been raising my hand my whole life, and then it's finally somebody says, "Hey, you," and me, yeah, okay, cool. And because I have my hand up to raise to try and be picked, so. But that doesn't really mean anything. It's just timing and luck. And I put everything I could into it. So, but yeah, I think I got bit by the bug of just wanting to go further, and wanting to push it and wanting to see, okay, cool. I also, like I said, I feel inadequate a lot of times in comparison to your skill, because I haven't been doing cars as repetitively and intensely as you have been doing for the past 15, 20 years. So I'm coming into your world and I'm about 10 years behind. So I'm like, oh, how do I go faster? How do I catch up to you? And you've been kind enough to be like, here's how you save 5 years. Here you go. This is how you save another year. This is how you save a month. And all these things add up, and I can go in 2 days, like you said, take your learning and advance it. And I could take 2 days, which took you years, I'm sure, and try to cram it in so I can be useful. And that's a fun thing.
I have to say something.
It's a really blessing. But again, thanks to you. So
I have to say something. Once you describe it perfectly, you kept the hands up, raising up, waiting for the moment it happens, but you were keeping the hands up. And when I try my best to explain to you my workflow, you were 100% there, not taking that for granted.
No, why would I take that for granted? You're the master. I'm learning from you.
From your point of view. I've been in so many situations I was willing to, expose all my workflow. Or nothing happens. It's just something like I do, and not usually is taking it the right way when I explain the way I'm working, or not even a word like a thank you for what are you doing,
Yeah, that blows me away, because that was one thing that always surprised me about you, how gracious and kind you were with your time, at the same time with teaching and showing and exposing. It was a really inspiring thing for me, because there was a time in my life where I was like, no, I want to hold all my secrets. But then when we did Learn Squared and all this stuff, I was like, just let the secrets go. From all the best people I know, Vitaly is one of those people. Vitaly, he would say, I think he's like, he learns and then he teaches it, or he gives it all away. That way it removes all the power of coveting and only me. And that it makes you exposed and makes you naked again to learn and shed your skin and grow again. And you have the same thing. I think every master or every person that I know I use the word master loosely, but I describe you guys as that because I feel like you're still always a student and you'll never be the ultimate master, but you're mastering it in a sense where you're humbled by you're constantly going at it every day. And I think that your willingness to share and expose these things is only adding into everything else too. And it also just shows your comfort and your security with who you are, which is rare. It's not a lot of people have that trait. I think a lot of people want to covet and hide who they are, or try to, I learned this thing and I don't want to share it with anybody. And I think we all have those tendencies, but the fact that you guys fight against them and expose it just makes it so much more fun, and also makes it more awesome too, probably more fulfilling. So yeah, these are some of my favorites. Ironically, I'll show you guys in a minute. I just came back to these, and I think I did some renders, but I don't think they're as cool as these ones because it's so dark and like it's so unrealistic. It makes it look like a toy because the lighting doesn't make sense, but it looks so cool. Yeah, I think I was maybe also with here. I was trying to summon the Batmobile, but if the Batmobile was a Lotus, with a different kind of concept, so. The radicalness of it. Yeah, this was fun.
So cool, man.
Yeah, makes me happy. I forgot about all these until building this episode, and then coming back to this and looking at these like, oh, okay, cool. This is the one that went pretty viral, I would say, this render or this series of these. Somehow, for whatever reason, people went crazy for this one. I think I have an idea what it is, but
because it's really cool, man. you mix here and again that narrative. You create something super special.
Yeah, narrative. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun.
Hey, hold on! You got my name there. Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't know that? I put our names on the car.
I forgot about it. That's great.
Yeah, that was a fun thing. We're like, again, the narrative and having fun with this whole process is like, yeah, let's put our names on the car. like we're racing.
I'm the co-pilot, or it's a driver.
Yeah, no, we swap it out. Yeah, I drive it, and then you come in and you drive it. Yeah,
okay,
yeah. We're both co-daddies of the ESP.
Don't crash it. Yeah. Don't crash it if I give you that, please.
Yeah, come on, don't mess it up. Don't scratch the track. Yeah, the car. Yeah, I'm a huge Apple fan. Everybody knows that probably by now. I've been using Apple. I use an Apple computer every day. I use that was one of my first computers, and ever since then. And this is the computer this is when I first bought into it. This is what they were doing. They had this color livery and all this stuff too. And they did this. The reason why I did this is because they did this on a 935 Porsche, I believe. I think it was 935, a crazy turbo Porsche car. So I saw that in my mind and I remembered it, and I was like, I want to do that for the ESP because it's so cool. So,
man, I love that we are so opposite in that way. I never use a Mac. I use all the PC.
Yeah, I know.
I'm in the dark.
You even got
the darkness.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. You got like the best laptop that they made, and you use it, and you don't even use it. Oh my God, it's crazy. I feel bad because I told you to get it. And
well, it's an incredible piece of engineering and machine, man.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Yeah. But if you don't use it, it's useless. So hasn't your brother showed you how to use it or no?
Yeah, he tried. I'm getting older, man. It's just so many stupid ways to work. It doesn't work for me. So, but
what makes me happy here is that you don't even use an Apple, and it's like the simplest thing for me. So it's like, this makes sense. This is not, everything is difficult for somebody. So it's okay. Yeah. Because I love Apple stuff, and it's just, they don't make the most powerful computer, but they make a really beautiful one that functions perfectly as it makes it. This thing that I've been using, it's like the Mac Pro or something. It's the cheese grater one that they say. I've been using it super hard for like 5 years now, reliable. And it's never had an issue once, ever. It's crazy. And it's quiet. It never makes any noise. I just leave it on. I don't even turn it off. It's exactly what I want a computer. It's just be quiet and just do what I ask of you. Yeah, which sounds horrible,
Oh,
but
man.
yeah.
There's, man.
Yeah, and here's
Jesus.
here we go. Super excited. This is also when we were pushing the studio and creating the white void, which was really fun. And yeah, this is everything came together. I just remember the feeling of so happy here. Like, look at these reflections that were coming off, like the tire. We didn't really talk about that. That was another thing we really dived into, is like making the tire decal. People freaked out about that too. I remember when this is posted, like, oh my God, they got their friggin' tire decal on it. It's like, we just went all the way on this one. It was a fun one. This is still one of my favorites because of all of the good memories. Yeah.
It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And I know that how deep is the dish on the rim.
Yeah, you could,
it's
like
actually black, right?
yeah,
It's just
black.
so good.
Yeah.
So badass, man.
Yeah. Black, baby. Yeah. It's fun. Yeah. It was,
I cannot wait, man. I
I
cannot
remember.
wait. You tell us what happened with this, Bob. But yeah. What's going to happen? What's going to
What's
happen with
that?
this car?
Yeah, we're coming up to it. We're almost there. Yeah, this is really fun. Yeah, I was also getting really inspired by space frames, and this is like when I started to discover the Acura NSX and like all the engineering behind that, and it was so fun. Yeah, just all of the projects and all of the fun stuff that was happening from this is so much work. I mean, there was I felt like there was months that were poured into just the modeling, Macau and I going crazy, and then me going crazy and taking this and advancing it and going further and learning the shaders. There's just a lot of good memories that come attached to this, and cropping and the feel and the depth and getting these renders out and feeling it. Yeah. And like I said, still to this day, this is probably one of my favorites of this edition. Yeah, for sure. But it's just, everything kind of feels as it should.
I can say,
just
I can say these are Sussex project for sure.
It's very successful. Yeah, it's like my favorite of up until then. This was finally it took 7 builds to be like, okay,
This is it.
cool. This is it. Yeah, this is what it needs to be. It needs to be this. This is what it is for me. This is what makes me happy. It's like taking the identity and really pushing it and going further beyond it. And all that energy, it still lives in this. It still lives here. It's all there. And I think this is what makes it still relevant all these years later in my mind, and is why it's being still discussed. And we'll have some stuff to talk about, but yeah, like, it's so fun. Yeah. It's just so wild and so silly. And
I have
crazy.
a question for you.
So hopefully Gigi's not
Go
mad
on,
at me.
go on.
Gigi, please don't be mad at me. Yeah, you got it, Gigi. Yeah.
No,
So he's the grand master, that guy. Yeah.
he will be appreciating this wedgie design for sure.
Maybe not. He's a designer, so he'll probably hate it.
What did you do with my car?
Yeah, you ruined Daddy's car. Yeah, what the heck?
No, it's all right. It's just a CG car. What does CG car means?
Carro.
I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's not gonna be not gonna put you in a spot. But right there on the bottom, the back shot.
This one
Did
right
you
here.
use Photoshop to those decals, or was actually render?
Oh, everything
Nice,
was
man.
rendered. Yeah, this is also another time. Everything was rendered. There was zero
Nice, man.
Photoshop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice details.
Yeah, well,
I know
thanks.
it,
I mean-
it makes it takes a lot of effort to do that. At least for me, you're rendering
Yeah.
fast, boom, boom, getting done. Then you're thinking, could be cool having some decals in the windows, but how, man, I have to do it manually. It's you did it. You
Dude.
did it.
Dude, ironically, after I just was rendering new renders of this, and the link to the textures all broke, and these renders take an hour and a half, 2 hours, and they're still noisy. And last night I was re-rendering zones, and it was like, not again, no. It like, because you know how this works. Something breaks, and I didn't check, and then so like last night I was basically fixing that kind of nightmare where all of these renders for the windows and the decals were the old ones before the decals in Corona, and somehow something broke in the link, and there's these big black matte gray areas on the geometry, and I'm like, damn it. So yeah, it's but yeah, this is the first time I think that everything is full CGI, and the only thing that was done past the render was bringing it into After Effects and grading it. We now use Resolve mostly for grading, but sometimes I still use After Effects because I have some secret special sauce that I like to put on there. So yeah, template based to kind of build with it. But and now you know that I've been into film photography. So man, last night when I was grading, I was like, I was looking right at my medium format film, and I was looking at the grain, and I was like, I know exactly what this needs to be. Like, it's so cool. It's really unlocking like so much to the image creation and mimicking this stuff too. Whoa, this was a fun series too. Yeah,
possibly my favorite one is this white one. Yeah, I love it. It's straight from my childhood Porsche Countach. It's posted, you know.
Yeah. You can really see all the designs and things coming forwards. Yeah, it would be nice to see a white version of this car. I think it actually would work really well. Yeah. It was. I remember this when I was doing this. I was like, man, yes, dude. I was so happy. Yeah, and I remember you were really busy, and I would just flood you with these. Yeah, you like fuck. Yes, redemption.
Why are you doing
this is what
I'm crying hard here in this production. Come on, man, give me a break.
Yeah, you were. I was like, no. While you're on your knees, I'm gonna start punching you.
really bleeding in the floor, and even struggling to breathe. And you went still punching my face.
Man, finally a little redemption. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Oh, you know what's kind of funny? I just realized that this, so Matthew Bellamy and I made this crazy Saab project. It was a Saab S9. Shout out to Matthew. He's incredible.
Shout out to Matthew.
Love Matthew. And yeah, it's just such an awesome G and such a talented designer and creator and modeler too. And we had done this interior, and I took the dashboard from that and then modified it and put it in this car because it was so good. But I realized that because this vent too. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. The vents is here. Yeah. Use so many parts from so many different things. Yeah, this is like a hard drive junkyard all put together.
It works. But, yeah. And I love to see through the windows the small hints of the details of the engine there. Really cool. Nice. It's realistic, man.
Gotta love Corona. Just real. Gets in there. Yeah. Thank you. So happy with this. I'm trying to think. There was I think Benedict was the photographer. He was doing some interesting things, and there was a couple other photographers at the time who were doing these exploded Lamborghinis and like pieces and stuff, really beautiful things, like taking photographs and then like building more photographs out of them. And I think I was inspired by them. I was also inspired by my friend Cornelius Damrick, who goes by Zomax. He was doing these beautiful, I don't know if he did them then at this time, but he did these beautiful bombs with these guys, like this guy like inside the bomb, these beautiful renders. I mean, he's such a lord too, that guy. He's such an incredible CGI artist. Zomax, if you don't know, find him because he's awesome. But he was doing these things, and I was thinking, this, and then Raoul Marx, obviously, I think he had some really beautiful things he was doing in titles. So it was like taking the car out of the studio, turning it into like an iconic piece of art, something that you would hang on the wall, and it would just be this beautiful thing. And still to this day, I look at it and go, again, this is one of the first times I'm like, this still feels good. And I'm stoked. I'm really happy and thankful that it still feels good, because sometimes when I look at them, and we're going to see there's a couple more cars in the lineup where I look at them and go, oh man, I really hate that. And why did I do that? No. So yeah, I'm just going to bask in this for like a second and enjoy it.
Take it.
Well, it's here. Yeah. And it just,
Very good. Actually, I would love to have this print and hanging on my wall. What I have is the Vinera right there. But this one, it could be a banger to be hanging on the wall.
We'll have to ask the artist. We'll see if he'll let you have it. He's kind
A
of an
little bit,
asshole.
yeah,
So let's
sometimes.
see. He likes to hit his friends while they're
Yeah.
down. He's one of those guys, you know. So, but anyways, so these are all the renders and everything. And then so the really cool thing that we're really excited to announce, and these are the renders I was talking about, and I actually have more, but they were processing, so I didn't get to them. But something really exciting is, and this is something if you've been following our journey, you know, is happening is that Carlos and I are working on trying to transfer our designs, our ideas, our worlds basically, and transfer them to reality. And we've done it a couple times already, which has been incredible. We're currently working on transferring the C6 V3, Ferris Quattumi's incredible time attacks Corvette. We did this amazing 240Z or 260Z with Tim from Industry Garage, which was incredible, and that was an amazing experience. And while we're doing these things, sometimes we get inquiries from people that want to build certain cars, and I think we've had maybe 3 shops reach out and say, "Oh, we want to build the ESP," and it's like, "Well, okay, well, you know, good luck. This is intense. You know, it's a whole car." And also you're taking it from a car that's kind of old and expensive. Finding a Lotus that you can just kind of rip apart and do this is not a cheap thing. So it takes a unique individual or individuals. And one of them is a build, are these incredible builders out in Germany called Holy Hall. This is the town that they live in. And this is their logo currently. It's changing, I think, right now. And if you get a chance, you should check them out because they did this incredible Capri, which was really awesome.
Incredible. So good.
Ford Capri. Yeah. And that thing was just like a stunning effort. And you can just tell they have incredible taste. They know what they're doing. They also can fabricate and build and model. They're kind of like the physical version of us, I would say, in the digital realm. I think they think big. They try different things. They have a style of all their own. They're building their own brand around the things that they're interested in. And so this has been announced already. So by the time this podcast comes out, if you feel like it's quite old now, but this was just announced pretty recently that we have. They're making the ESP for real. It's crazy, dude. They're building it on an R8 chassis, which is really smart of them to do because they can take that and then build the essence of it. And they're going to do a combination of composite materials, some carbon fiber, some aluminum, and they're going to put a big engine in it. It's just going to be, incredible. I remember I was texting my friend Vin. Vin has his own YouTube. He comes from the Hoonigan team. And I was like, oh man, they're going to be building this. And he's like, how crazy is it that somebody's going to be making something that was living in your head? And it's like, it's hard to put to words because it was months and months of pushing hard and then years of nothing, you know. It's just like, you know, you do it and you're like, yeah, I feel happy that it's got done and I'm so thankful and I'm proud of the work we did. And then all of a sudden years later, to have a team of builders put themselves in this place and go, we're going to invest tons of time, tons of energy, tons of money, and we're going to bring this to life because they believe in it. It's really, it's amazing, dude. I'm so stoked.
I cannot wait, man, to see this car in real. It's just mind blowing. You know, I never thought it could be real, and they pick this one, and they're like, oh, what, really? Yeah, man, it's happening. So I wonder something, man. I wonder about how you visualize this event in terms of because this is your baby, you know exactly how it is. They are gonna build it for real. So I wonder, it's gonna be a sort of a conflict in a way, if you see for real and see some difference or some discrepancy between what was pretending to be digital, what is looking real. So how tight you hold in that idea of your design?
I let it loose. I had to let it go. Yeah. Unless I'm willing to build it myself and be there and supervise every moment of it, there's no point in me trying to control it from afar. It's not fair. They're going to run into problems and they have to solve it themselves, and they're going to have their own solutions, and that's their choice to make. I'm just hoping that they capture the essence of this car as best they can, but at the same time, they have a long journey. They're also designers and artists of themselves, and they're craftspeople, and I think that they need to interpret it themselves. So I'm I try not to. I don't think it would make my mental health good if I was like, they missed this little thing. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to me either. And so once it's been released, like, okay, they asked if they can build it and we gave them permission, and now we give them the support, and now we're like, go and make it. That's part of the support, is trusting that they're going to do it the best they can, and knowing that based on their craft, like the Capri was incredible. So now this is such a, I think the Capri was building up to this, and then this is going to really show. They're going to really see how gnarly, because this is like, we've had people reach out, but it's like, do you understand how expensive it is to do this? Like, this is not cheap, and it's not, even if you have all the skills, it takes a long time to do. So it's a very intense commitment to it.
Yeah,
so,
but
I'm so excited for them.
It's good for them, man. It's good. You're clever in that one. You let it go and just let them go and build the car and be grateful. What's going on, what's happening. It's great. It's clever.
Yeah, it won't be, I mean, like I said, unless I'm there at every moment to make all the decisions from my standpoint, it can't translate completely. This isn't a 3D scan, 3D printed kind of thing. This is going to be an adaptation. So, and this is also called the ESP1. So there might be more iterations of this at some point down the road. Who knows? But this is the first translation, and it's going to be a really fun one. And I'm so proud of them wanting to take on such a crazy challenge. This is it's a real smart move for them as a brand, because it's going to get a lot of attention, which is great. This car has a spirit all of its own. It's its own thing. And I think they're perfect for this. They're German-minded engineers, man, and it's like, yeah, dude. And they got wild personality and wild soul. It fits their brand perfectly, and really smart of them to execute this. And yeah, I'm just so stoked. It's just, we're at the part in our careers with this thing that it's all about collaborating and building relationships and sharing that, and not thinking, how can I make money? How can we squeeze every situation and make money? It's actually the opposite for me, and I think for you as well. It's like, how can we build relationships? How can we build a legacy? How can we make something special? How can we make something timeless? How can we make something that we can look back years later and feel proud of it? And that's really that's a tough one to have, but it's worth the conversation. It's worth the try. So yeah.
Really well put. Because what I'm thinking is, we train really hard to have the best time meanwhile you're doing the thing we do, and it's really hard. Sometimes you get distracted, you get misleaded for different reason, and you're doing the thing where you should enjoy it. Sometimes you are not even enjoying what it's supposed to be, enjoying what you're doing. So just things like this, it make your day. I mean, I'm so happy, man. This is happening, and in so many different reasons, and they picked this car, which was so special. Imagine if they pick the Dodge, what I did, the Wraith car. I will be like oh man. There's so many.
Well, we'll get into that.
The next episode could be about that. And but man, there's so many cars we did, and they pick this one. I'm so proud and so happy it's happening, and also looking at you smiling, describing the process. To me, that is the success of this car, and that's priceless to have.
Amen. I totally agree, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for guiding me through this and being along for the journey and allowing me to punch you while I'm doing the ESP. Again, I needed a 2 versus 1, so it's unfair battle. So also while you're working super hard on making one of the most influential and incredible animations that exists on Netflix too. So that's the no light task that you were a part of. So the ESP, I'm so excited. I'm excited that it's cool that this episode's happening when we were finding this news out too. So it's like this whole thing. So definitely, if this is something that's interesting to you, they speak in German only, so good luck with that. I asked, man, I need to translate on this, but it's really cool. You can follow them and see what they're doing, because this is going to be a really incredible build, and give them some love and some support,
Yeah.
because it's they're on a journey. It's going to be so cool. I'm really excited to see what they do. And yeah, thank you. This has been an incredible journey. I've been looking forward to this. When we decided to do these episodes, this is one of them that I was like, oh, I can't wait to do. And you can tell this is a very long episode, so you can tell there's a lot of juice in there. So yeah, it's a lot of love, a lot of fun, a lot of work, and just one of those. I feel like it was that turning point for me with this. Like, I think this is what it is. Like, okay, cool. Let's go further into this. And I try to recreate that a couple times, and then I failed. So it'll be funny. We'll talk about those in further episodes too. So
crazy, man. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for expose and be open to show all the process. I know it's been challenging, but so rewarding as well. So thank you, man, for your time and for all these extra juicy info about your process. It's great.
Thank you, man. Thank you, everybody listening. You guys have a good one, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Downhill now from here.
No, we'll talk about it. It'll be great.
Yeah, guys. I'm going to cry a little bit in the room.
Bye, everybody. Yes. So evil.